fascinating the pace at which AI is changing the world. I mean, we barely wrapped our heads around Gen AI, and then you have other kinds of AI, Agentic AI, and all of that. And you've heard a lot about it, I'm sure, in the last 2-3 hours. And we're going to take that forward. You just heard from Mondelez. We have two equally fascinating customers here who are using Airtel, Bharti Airtel, and IndusInd, who are using these technologies, POCs. But before I get to Chetan and Jasbir, I mean, I wanted to ask Sekhar and Gaurav, we were having tea just before this, and it was Chetan who said it's like a jump from 2G to 4G or 5G. Is that the case, Gaurav, Sekhar? Tell us. I mean, who wants to start? One of you can. What's the kind of changes? We had automation earlier. Now you're talking about agentic AI. It's a huge jump, is it?
Sujit, thanks for the question. Right. Hello, everyone. Yeah, is it a big change? I think it is a big change. It is, so the whole agentic AI, and I'll kind of take 30 seconds to ground everyone on what it is, because we're kind of assuming everyone understands, right? So the whole agentic AI concept is to kind of use AI and the whole large language models, foundation models, and design an autonomous workforce, right? So the entire journey that we've done, I've been with in the automation industry for at least a decade now, and we've designed it for the people to get efficient. Now I need to design something for the machines to be efficient, and people only come next. So it's a machine first, people next kind of concept that you kind of design for, and to that extent, it is a completely different way of doing. It's a step change and gives us an opportunity to reimagine how a function process should work.
One simple example.
One simple example, if you would kind of look at, the agentic AI examples that are coming across the patch, right? I think I'll probably use the one that, the demo that kind of happened on the Fiserv insurance agent, right? You could use that and say, I want to kind of issue a loan quote, or an insurance or something else, right? What I would kind of just give the AI agentic is to say, give me a quote that meets this condition. Now the AI agent then looks at the knowledge base, the policies in the organization, plans the sequence of steps, executes it, and gives it to you. Only if it cannot do something, it throws up an exception.
Then right? The human steps in.
That the human steps in. Now you're not giving that goal to the human, you're giving the goal to the agent, to the AI agent. That's right. Another example very quickly is probably you want to kind of recruit someone, and you would kind of say it's a peak season, I want to recruit a particular particular role of people, and I would kind of tell the agent, I want recruitment for 20 of this profile meeting these conditions. That's really the goal.
Okay.
And that you stop there and let the agent actually plan for you.
Okay.
That's the kind of change.
Gaurav?
Sure. So from an automation perspective, historically, automation was all about doing what was repetitive, that was rule-based, that was done on a computer system or some app, right? That was the definition in which we created this category. Now what is happening is that it doesn't need to be rule-based. It does not need to be repetitive. It can be designed to meet the changing business requirements, and it can be extremely flexible. For example, you could create an AI agent for RFP evaluation. Imagine you're a large public sector organization that releases an RFP every day. It has to do checks like when it has responses. It has to do checks like, did they meet the qualifying criteria? Did they submit the right documents? Now you can have an AI agent process all that and give a response saying, hey, this is a problem with this particular bid. Send an email to that bidder, give him 2 days to respond or disqualify him. So you can compress the time to evaluate. Like somebody gave this 2G to 4G example, right? One of the biggest reasons our public sector career didn't do well was it took them forever to evaluate how to buy technology. So some of these could be compressed, changing business values dramatically. Again, look at, for example, right from defining a job description, to hiring, to onboarding, and to retiring, and then stopping access from a process. So you could, different applications, different systems, but an AI agent could help you right from initialization to the employee leaving from an AI agent capability perspective. So very different and can have dramatic impact on how businesses operate.
And you're seeing industries across kind of using it, beginning to
Absolutely. For example, we just went live with a press release with a legal construction firm today that is signed up to build a legal AI agent for specific construction use cases, replacing the work that junior lawyers do in terms of writing memos, writing, comparing old judgments to figure out what could the judgment be like, and therefore helping senior lawyer come to his analysis on what he wants to do on a case much faster, much earlier, versus days it took him in the past.
Fascinating.
So fairly interesting.
Okay. Chetan and Jasbir, maybe Chetan, you can start. Tell us, and what is the POC that you are implemented? What stage is it? What kind of benefits have you seen?
Yeah, so I think if I look at it from, I'll just go to a little background, right? I mean, we are at a stage, right, across the industry, across AI and agentic. I think we are at a stage where I think, to Ankur's point, right, he showed a graph in terms of the internet penetration, right? So from that internet penetration thing, at that point of time, we were not aware as to how the internet is going to change our lives, right? And I feel we are at a similar stage. When computers were brought in, right, maybe 2 or 3 decades back into the banking industry, I think it was very difficult to gauge as to what the impact is going to be. But we all see the impact now, right? So personally, I feel we are at the same stage. And as such, it is important that we move forward, right? We have implemented RPA, we have implemented some Gen AI projects. So obviously the next logical step for us was to understand as to how the agentic AI is going to help us, right? So we have done a couple of POCs where I think in the last 2 sessions, everyone has shown the benefits, right? That it is going to be in a way where you don't necessarily need to make changes to your existing process. You don't need to, sort of streamline the existing process, right? If your process is working fine, right? 80%, right, to Tanmay's point, right? I mean, we will always achieve 80%, right? The 20% are exception scenarios that we'll have to cater to manually. But for the 80%, if your processes are streamlined, you can bring in agentic AI, do probably a proof of concept and ensure that it is working. And that is what we have done, right? One of the areas that we are trying to work with the agentic AI is basically understanding the client request in terms of what they want from us in terms of statement generation, in terms of ad hoc statement requests from a banking perspective. And 70% of our requests that come to my team, right, is basically that. So what we do at that point of time is basically we have to sort of understand that the request has come in from the right email ID, right? That is very important because of data privacy issues and stuff like that. Check whether that particular email has a authority to ask for the statement. Once we do that, then obviously we go into our system, extract that statement, and send it out. And obviously that statement again has to go to the right authenticated email ID with the relevant password protected PDF and stuff like that. So obviously all these things were being done manually. We have done a POC for that. I think the POC has been very successful thanks to Gaurav and his team and a couple of other vendors. And we are taking it forward, right? So that is one of the use cases. And in our world, at least in my world which I manage, we are currently looking at something like a T concept, right? Which basically means in some cases where we have the RP and the GNAI, we are doing it in the breadth of functions that I manage. And in terms of the agentic AI, we have started a couple of POCs on 2 or 3 projects, which is the T. So we are going deep down into the existing processes where RPA or GN has been implemented using agentic AI and trying to sort of improve to go from the 80 to the 99% that sort of Tanmay was referring to. So that's really where we are.
Okay, in the statement generation thing, what exactly? I mean, I can generate a statement as a bank customer now. How is what you're doing going to be different?
It will take away the manual activity completely, right? So
At the back end?
At the back end, exactly.
There's a
right?
lot of back-end manual effort
Right,
here.
right, absolutely, right. So in some cases, obviously, you're able to generate a statement which is available upfront in the month-to-month statement, right? But when a corporate, right, I manage the corporate world. So when they ask for some ad hoc statement with some additional details, you obviously have to do it manually. So that is what completely get eliminated from a end-to-end, and it will completely be systematic. That's what we are expecting.
Okay, okay. Jasbir?
Yep. Thanks for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll talk about telecom sector. Telecom sector has been under constant pressure to adapt to the market conditions, optimize the cost, and more importantly, take strategic decisions promptly. Over the years, have we have had a long association where we have done a lot of Gen 1, Gen 2 automations. Automations part is done within our accounting. I'll talk about finance. With our ERPs, accounting systems, EPM implementations, we already have reached to that point where we generate our financial numbers, our balance sheets. Basically, we do day one closing. So we are able to do that so far. How we want to add automation on top of it is there's analyze the variations in the trends of this financial P&Ls. So P&L has a lot of details. Airtel as an organization is too complex with so many legal entities, then multiple segments. We have approximately 900 organization units across segments. So complexity is there, even if you understand from the framework perspective. There's a telecom framework, there's a taxation GST framework, then internally we have different segments to monitor. So complexity of data is increasing, the volumes are increasing. Day one numbers we are able to generate, but how do we analyze this? So think from a CFO lens, CFO needs to analyze any variations which is coming in any of the P&L segments, any of the lines, any in the balance sheets, and those details are required. It requires our corporate finance reporting team to go in more deep dive. It takes cross-functional teams to analyze and get back to the leadership in terms of what was behind it, and then strategic decisions could be taken around it. It could be plus, it could be minus. So this particular area we identified for POC. We did a successful POC, and in the journey of doing building it, where we are enhancing the scope with more and more integrations, feeding that system more data. So overall theme has been bring it between say 2 to 3 days to 2 to 3 hours and empower our CFO or our corporate finance reporting team to have that power with themselves in terms of ask them any questions. And the response is also as a co-pilot was shown in the demo, users are asking in their own language, system is understanding the questions, giving them the output of the variations. And basis that variations, analytics could be done, it could be prompt action could be done, static output reports could be generated out of it. So that is how we have been focusing. Key theme, data-driven, prompt data-driven strategic decisions we should be able to power. So that is where we want to club automation with the AI.
You already achieved 2-3 hours and all that?
Yes, with the POC we did, that POC was, we gave our financial asset registers data, a lot of complex data we gave, and when we did a demo in the POC, we were able to get the output of that data. We have not made it live. We did the POC stage. Now we are at a development where earlier when the data was given, we had given the data manually. We brought in the data, gave it to the field system and say, show us the proof of concept, how the solution works. So now with the development happening, already ongoing, it's more of integrations wherein correct data is provided to the platform. So,
how long did it take you up to reach this stage?
not much time. So we are planning to go live next month. Mid-December is what we are
When
aiming
did you
to.
start the whole?
POC took 2 to 3 weeks.
3 weeks, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Staying with you, I mean, both of you are in very critical industries and you have lots of customer data, very sensitive data and all of that for both banks and telcos. How do you handle, I mean, we hear about AI hallucination and stuff like that. So you have to be really, really careful, isn't it?
Yeah, from security perspective, obviously, when it it is about our sensitive financial data, so it becomes more critical. In our case, we worked with Automation Anywhere. We got all the clarity in terms of what are the robust security measures being taken by the product, what are the global compliances being followed by the product. And for specific to Airtel, we went for an on-premise setup, wherein the complete solution, the agent, the bots, remain in the secured perimeter of Bharti Airtel. So that is one area. And then within our CISO, there is a dedicated security team who keeps assessment of the products before any go live. It's an ongoing journey actually. So we cannot say today I am okay, so I can stay put. So both the tools, we always have to be on our toes because security is always evolving. But our team helps us there with the vulnerability assessments. New vulnerabilities keep coming. We keep assessing. So it's an ongoing journey. But that is where we get the confidence in terms of securing our data.
Okay, Shekhar, same thing to you. I mean, are you not worried that AI may take some wrong decision and all that?
So I think to his point, right? I mean, I think the POC took 2 to 3 weeks. It was great. And then obviously probably taking approvals from CISO, sorry if there are CISOs in this room, took us about 2 months, okay? But for all the right reasons, right? Today, actually, we are at a stage where our policies, our regulations has not taken into account this exponential change in technology, right? So our policies, the bank level, and I think it is industry-wide, it's just not my bank, it is industry-wide, as well as our regulations, right, are still on those old, framework in terms of the RPA, in terms of how the data privacy needs to be, in terms of how the data security needs to be. We, as technology have evolved, and now we want that data to be consumed by, technologies either in the cloud or even on-prem, right? But those are sensitive information, right? So it cannot be just fed in, right? Either you have to mask the data or you have to do something so that that security parameter or the parameter is there, right? So I think what we are going through at this point in time is looking at that policies, trying to see as to what we are doing, whether it falls in that particular policy, we have to change that policy, or what is it that we have to change from a technology perspective to meet those policy and standards, right? So we are doing that. It's a pain area, but I think it's a good pain area because once you overcome that hurdle over a period of time, then maybe the next set of projects, the next set of activities that we want to do will be much quicker, right? So I think in any industry or any new activity that we do, we'll go through this, but it's fine to go through it at this point of time. We have great support from our CISO, with our technology partners, with Automation Anywhere, and various other partners that we work with, either the CTD, LORAN, or whatever it is. So I think there's enough support from them where we have questions coming in from CISO, those are being answered by them, and every step is being taken forward, right? So I think CISOs are now comfortable that, yes, whatever is being done is within the parameters and within the parameter of what we want to do as a bank, as an industry, as regulations, and it's being taken forward. So I think because we are starting off, it is taking some time, but I think it's a good start.
Good.
That's for sure.
I've heard this from others also, that CTOs want to move fast with all these fancy technologies, but CISOs are always holding back.
Yeah, and for the right reasons, I think, because we have so much of sensitive data that we just can't open it up for the sake of opening it up.
And you're a bank, so with RBI is breathing down your neck, so you have to be very careful.
Absolutely.
Shekhar, tell me, what are the kind of challenges that you've seen companies face while implementing this, and how do you overcome those?
In terms of the broad challenges, we just want to add to Chetan's point around that, and right. I think there are a few inherent checks and balances that we can do when you implement agentic AI, or to that matter, anything to do with the generative AI. And because you mentioned hallucinations and others, I think defining the process and saying where do I need to bring the human back, automating actions versus automating decisions. You kind of make that distinction and say when it's decision, I will bring a person back. into the loop.
Okay.
Right? So I think making that kind of an informed design, building it into a design, that's kind of one. He alluded, both of them alluded, Jasbir and very briefly about CISO, but one of the aspects CISOs and in the context of AI is this whole aspect around the responsible AI. Right? As in when you're implementing the whole LLMs and others, more so than ever, the whole aspect of responsible AI has come to the fore. And that, which is where I think the platforms like Automation Anywhere are building those capabilities into the platform. Right? As in, it used to take a lot of effort to go and get that validation out when you do it, but when you do it on a platform like what Automation Anywhere provides, you would kind of be able to kind of bring that into your deployment process. I think those are two aspects, the design aspect and responsible AI controls. Those aspects I would kind of say have to be emphasized by people who are kind of doing this piece. So I want to kind of just add to what both Jasbir and Chetan mentioned. But your question about what are the other challenges that kind of come into this picture, a true agentic AI, the success of true agentic AI comes in when the organization's knowledge is codified in a knowledge base. And without a knowledge base, an agentic AI doesn't fly. So I think the first and foremost challenge or the work is to kind of see, do I have digitized knowledge base, policies, procedures, controls, rules, everything in a digital that the agentic can go and valid, can actually refer to in executing it. And we see a lot of time, either that is not yet completely digitized or digitized in silos that you cannot take. And the beauty of that, I think the previous speaker also mentioned, everyone wants to do end-to-end process automation. Now the end-to-end you can only do if the decisions are all in one or in a way. If they're siloed, you cannot do that end-to-end in a particularly in agentic mode. So I think that is one challenge I would say in terms of planning and executing. One second is all the security aspects to kind of plan and do that. Third is talent. It's just changing, and I think a lot of talent change has to happen to be able to execute this. There is so much of change coming in. The whole agentic one is the framework and the platforms that like automation and others support, but there is a whole new knowledge through like the stacks like NVIDIA coming up. NVIDIA is a big player in that. For example, as Accenture, we are working with them, and there are many other platform stacks like that. So the talent, security, and the procedures around it. Third, data and its readiness from an agentic AI point of view. I would probably the top three. I can go on, but I think
so this data, knowledge base and all that should be in some central data lake or something like that?
It has to be in some, it has to be, need not be central, but it has to be at least federated for the agent to go and bring that data and policies back.
Okay.
Because without that knowledge, an agent cannot go and cannot become autonomous. Because everything that people have been doing as actions and decisions has now to be codified somewhere. And so that the agent can now take some of that role and do that part. If it has to be autonomous, it has to have access to that data. Okay. And need not be centralized, but it has to be it has to be somewhere that the agents can do that.
Okay. Gaurav, same thing. I mean, Sekhar mentioned responsible AI and how you implement that as part of automation.
So one, enough guardrails from a security perspective, all compliances, and then putting human in the loop for critical decision making brings it in, right? So from a process point of view, for example, when we look at, say, customer service as a use case, and an AI agent responding on emails or a customer request responding on an email. So one, like when we solved our own customer service problem through a customer service AI agent, we gave the options to customers to work with a human or work with an AI agent, right? The advantage of working with the AI agent was response was faster. The difference between an L2 and an L4 engineer started diminishing because all the knowledge repository was available as a vectorized database for the support engineer to work on, and we could see customer responses being 24/7, getting done much faster. I just want to add the biggest challenge that I'm facing in this space is right now, not excitement, but putting business value. For example, you could go and meet people in organizations and they're really wanting to do AI agents, but I keep asking my team when they come up excited to me is it truly solving a business value? Because if it's solving a business value, then it's worth spending time on. Otherwise, it becomes a science project that it doesn't scale. So I think figuring out on those early cases on what's the business value. Like, for example, Airtel said this, right? It's about 3 days to 2 hours. It solves a business value. And therefore, then for them, you have to make sure that, I remember doing those conversations saying, how many GPUs and infrastructure will it need if I have to solve it in 2 hours, right? So we said, no, the infrastructure cost is not going to be astronomical because you cannot create a business case that doesn't make sense to solve the value. So keeping that balance in mind, I think is the thing that we bring with our experience. And I think to Shekhar's point, especially skills are limited. And that's why the initial projects that we are doing, we are leading with our professional services, working with some best of breed partners. But yeah, I think skills is one more challenge that we have to work on as we broad base this from a capability standpoint.
So this business use case, deciding that, you typically have a conversation with the customer to figure out where it might make the most sense, is it?
Absolutely. So the business user might get excited about, like, let's look at, creating an AI agent for SOPs, right? Like whether it's a bank or any company, you'll have a lot of SOPs that are published. Or if you're an insurance company, you'll have like 50 documents on your website that a customer can go to and he keeps figuring out which document to go to. Now it's very easy for me to build an AI agent that can access the 50 documents, and now somebody can, rather than a fixed chatbot, look in real-time basis a question, and the vectorized database will look at all 50 documents that can be made current every month and give an accurate answer to the user. Now, the business should appreciate it, right? If the business says, no, I'm fine with the user going through 50 documents and figuring out where the answer is, why should I spend time on this? So is that what I ask my team to double qualify and therefore then spend time accordingly?
Okay. Talent, what do you do about that? The problem that you don't have enough talent to implement this, what is the answer?
It's like early days of any technology, right? We didn't have enough talent for cloud when we started. We didn't have enough talent.
How much time will it take to upskill these people?
It's demand and supply. I guess as people do the project, and as we said, right, we have these AI agent labs available in this venue today, and we are saying people can walk out building an AI agent. It's fairly intuitive. It's drag and drop. So if you understand your business problem that you're solving, building an AI agent is not difficult, but having the right prompt, doing the right prompt engineering, making sure that you're not overspending on LLM models, etc. How do you select the right LLM model is based on expertise, right? Say, for example, which LLM model to select. Do you need vision? Do you need only text? All that will evolve. And I think it'll happen fairly fast.
Okay. Shekhar, you want to add anything on the skill part? How are you going about it?
I think that there is a fair amount of talent, AI and agentic AI talent investment across the patch. We would kind of see this across many of the service providers that I come from, the service provider segment. As an example, in Accenture, we kind of took a target to train 80,000 of our people with agentic skills. And it's a large undertaking. And I'm talking on behalf of everyone like us who are kind of doing. So I think there is a fair amount of attention on that part. But the more pragmatic approach of that is to leverage frameworks and platforms to be able to bridge the gap between the talent availability and the technology possibility. Okay, and by that what I mean is, again, because automation aware and the platform gives you that kind of a platform. If you can kind of create the framework on which, like Gaurav mentioned, right, and what he's working with Jasbir and others, if you kind of create the frameworks and says follow these 5 different steps, and the platform gives you that step versus trying to go and explore and do that part, I think you bridge that gap for the talent requirement to the possibility. That's one way, and a practical way for small, for anyone who's starting, to start first, because getting a talent is a time-consuming one, to the extent. So I think you could kind of balance that with that as an approach. Apart from, of course, large companies, everyone is doing that, and they'll continue to.
Okay. Jasbir and Chetan, tell us. I mean, now that you have one POC almost done and probably going to roll out and all that, what other future possibilities do you anticipate, the newer projects that you might, and the kind of role that Automation Anywhere and Accenture and all play in your work?
No, I think absolutely right. To his point, right? I mean, talent is a constraint. That is where the partners come in, right? To Gaurav's point, right? I mean, we need to understand which is the element to use, which is the platform to use. So obviously, that is where we need the expertise. So obviously, they are required, and they sort of provide us the right guidance, both in terms of which is the right tools set for this particular use case, right? And at the same time, we need to look at the overall TCO, right? The total cost of ownership. Because whenever a new technology comes in, the TCO is going to be high, right? which would impact the ROI, at least from a bank perspective, at least from our perspective. And we need to ensure that we are able to, fulfill the commitments that we have made to our shareholders, to our stakeholders, and pick up the right use cases so that the benefit is seen, right? From what I see from a future perspective, I think agentic AI, obviously we have seen a lot of WhatsApp forwards and maybe even videos, right, which talks about that a husband is traveling and the wife comes to know of it, and the wife goes and uses the agentic AI to file the divorce petition, right? So I think we are far away from that, right? That is not going to happen in next 2 years. But what I personally feel is that in next 2 years, I think we are going to see an exponential jump in terms of productivity, in terms of improvements in the end-to-end TAT of the transactions, and a significant improvement in the customer experience. And I think that is what we all are striving for, because if you have a good customer experience, the stickiness of that customer to the individual organization increases, right? And that is what we all strive for. From our perspective, we want to get better wallet share of that particular customer. And unless until we are able to provide a great customer experience, that is not going to happen. So I think in next 2 years, I see a big change in the way the customer experience is delivered. And that from a bottom and below that is obviously the improvement in the turnaround time for the transactions that we sort of support the customers. I think that is going to probably increase significantly, exponentially. I would say if savings of about, from a TAT perspective, to at least 60 to 70% is minimum. That's what I feel.
Yeah, 60 to 70% what?
The turnaround time, right? So today, if I'm able to cater to a customer in 2 hours for an export or an import transaction, that for me will come down to 30 minutes is what I feel.
Wow.
Jasbir. Yeah. In upcoming areas, I see customer service, customer support is definitely one of the areas. We have a serve platform where we serve our customers, and with the aim to reduce the interactions and improve the customer experience. So multiple tracks there. Say, take one example on our IVRs. Daily basis, we get approximately 5 million to 6 million calls daily. So if we integrate AI-based voice agent to identify the intent of the caller, which call has been made, and route it appropriately. We don't have to, no one likes the boring IVRs, and manual agents also is a costly affair. So that is definitely one area. Customer support, internal for our employees, for every organization, say, in fact, for the other area I said, we are doing one POC for one prepaid journey for one of the circles. Internal customers, I would say, raising any IT support ticket, raising any interaction, doing some troubleshooting, getting something installed, raising an SR, all those agentic process could help there. One use case I can think of in the SCM side, where we have contract management. Airtel does 300, 500 contracts each month. So analyzing the summary of that contracts, taking informed decision, every stakeholder will not go through the details of the contract, but needs detailing for taking key decisions. In the end, it all boils down, as Gaurav said, what business value we are giving it on the table. So we have to maintain a right balance between what value we are getting while we are doing the automation. So opportunities are plenty in various areas. Finance, with this POC, finance has already lined up our CFO organization, multiple areas within the finance which they want to do it after this. But currently we're focusing, let's make the current process more robust. As he said, get the data should be made ingested to the solution to make the output more accurate. So accuracy of the solution is we can only achieve when data crawling is happening from all our sources, ensuring, and there's no latency around it. So focusing on a robust solution for now, but various opportunities are there in the industry.
Okay, lots of opportunities. Data is key. I know we are almost out of time. Gaurav and Sekhar, one last word, what Chetan was just saying. Exponential increase in productivity, great customer experiences is what the future looks like. That's what.
No, it's definitely showing a lot, a lot of promise. I think it is for us to kind of take in and put it in the right places. I think both Gaurav talked about and both right. All of us are saying we cannot kind of just because it's good, it doesn't mean everywhere. But there are definitely the right places to go and do it. If you do it the right way, the impact is exponential. It does have that potential, and the technology is allowing us to do it, move faster. And I was kind of say, if someone is starting something new, start the agentic way.
Starting something new, start the agentic way. Gaurav, last word to you.
I'll put my sales hat on. So we have the platform that can help you start fast, start today, start now, and let's see where it goes.
Okay, start now and see where it goes. So, as all of them said, great opportunities, but you have to be really careful about the use cases, identify the use cases where it makes most sense, get your data right, and these are technologies that can give you, as all of them said, exponential increases in productivity, great customer experiences, some great use cases emerging. So thank you all for a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.